Hey everyone, I'm going to help you do these questions on this Google form that's part of your homework for the day, or it is your homework for the day. And so um, let's get to it. The If you're in my class, the way we've been focusing on doing these questions is you identify which piece of the puzzle you're missing, right? Whether it's the part, the whole, or the percent. And then you refer to page 41 in your book where we wrote those three formulas that relate part, whole, and percent, right? You just pick the one that starts with the piece that you're missing, right? If you're missing the percent, you use the formula that says percent equals. I think if you're in Mr. Wong's class, he's focusing more on relating these to proportional relationships and looking at them in a table and understanding whether you multiply or divide based on which pieces you have in that way. So it's basically the same thing. I'll kind of try to do both. Um, let's see here. I need my drawing tool. We got this purple background on this thing, so I don't know, maybe I'll use green. Maybe green will show up well on the purple. I don't know, we'll see. So the first question says, Tanner collected 360 cans to recycle. This was 40% of what Reggie collected. Okay, so this I know right now is the percent in this question. And since this 360 is only 40% of what Reggie collected, then this must be what we would refer to as the part. And so I'm thinking of a formula I want to use that says if you want to find the whole, because the whole is how many cans Reggie collected, and that's what we're trying to figure out here, then that's going to equal the part divided by the percent. And if you like to think of it in terms of a proportional relationship, you've got your whole amount over here, right? Or sometimes people say like original or whatever. And you've got your part amount over here. And then the K is like your percent, which is going to be 0.4 in this case, 40%, 0.4. And so if you know your part, which is 360, and you want to get back to your whole, you got to divide by that K or by that percent, right? So whichever way you like to think about it, the end result here on this one is going to be that we need to do 360 divided by 0.4 or zero point 0.4. And that's going to get us a number much bigger than 360 because Reggie obviously collected more cans. I know that dividing by 0.4 is the same as multiplying by 2.5. So let's see here. 2 times 360 would be 720, and then you add an extra, what, 0.80? I think this is going to come out to 900. I'm not 100% sure on that, though. I feel like I should double check that just to be sure. I'm going to just open up a Google tab, if my computer will let me, and just double check that. 360 divided by 0.4. Maybe I'll do it over here. 360 divided by 0.4. I think that'll give me, should pull up the answer, right? Yeah, 900. All right, so we're good. Since I'm an editor of this document, I can see all the things that this document will accept as correct answers. So honestly, when it comes to these Google documents, I think the best thing you do is just enter the number. Don't try to put Reggie or Reggie collect cans. It just makes it harder for the Google document to understand what you're trying to say. I would just put my answer as just 900. All right, so number 2 says, Emilio paid $287.50 in taxes this year. This was a 15% increase over the amount of taxes he paid last year. How much did he pay last year? Okay, so this is another one where we're trying to find the whole, right? This one's a little weirder because our part is actually bigger than our whole, but this number still represents a part. This number right here, oops, I didn't want to go into editing this, but okay. Can I get out of this? Here. All right. So 15%, a 15% increase is the same as having 115% of something, right? 15% increase of anything is the same as having 115%. And 115%, if you want to convert that to a decimal number, you would move this decimal point that's right here over two spaces, 1, 2, and you get 1.15. So 115% is the same as 1.15 of something. And now we've got this 287.50, right? Are we going to multiply it by 1.15, or are we going to divide it by 1.15? Well, it all depends on where is this 15% supposed to come from. The 15% is an increase from the amount of taxes that he paid last year. If you're in my class, you know that, oh, the word that always comes after of, right? I see of here. The taxes that he paid last year is the whole amount or the original amount. And this represents some big part of that. And so I would do it literally the exact same as we did the last one. I would think, okay, the part is going to equal, nope, sorry. The whole is going to equal the part divided by the percent. Or if you want to think of it as a proportional relationship, you've got your K is going to equal 1.15. And you got your part amount here, which is what, 287.50? 287.50. And you're trying to figure out how to get back to that whole amount or that X amount over here. And so you got to divide by that K. So either way you like to think about it, I think we need to do 287.50 divided by 1.15. That one I definitely can't do in my head. But you know what? I can see the answers right here. You could go ahead and punch this into a calculator to make sure that you're able to find the correct answer. But I can reveal the correct answer just by clicking on this question here. I think I saw it. It was 250. Yeah. And so you could check your answer or check this work or make sense of it by saying, okay, if I increase $250 by 15%, do I get to 287? And the answer would be yes. If you multiply 250 by 115, you should get to 287.50. All right, let's do number 3. It says, a new snowmobile is advertised to be 15% lighter than the old snowmobile. If the new snowmobile weighs 799 pounds, how much did the old one weigh? All right, so let's be careful here about part and whole, right? So obviously we got a percent amount, 15% lighter. So that's a reduction, right? 15% less in weight. And so 15% less is the same as having 85% left, right? 85% left, because 100 minus 15 is 85. And so now we just got to figure out, wait, the other number they've given us is 799. And so we're either going to take 799 and divide it by 0.85, right? Because 85% equals 0.85. Or we're going to multiply it by 0.85. You could think about it as part, whole, and percent. You could think of it as proportional relationships. But there's actually also sort of like a logical way you could think of this one. So the new one is 799 pounds, right? And it's supposed to be lighter. We're trying to figure out how much the old one weighed, and the old one is supposed to be heavier. So our answer better be bigger than 799. Answer must be larger than 799. Well, if we were to multiply 799 by 0.85, we would get an answer smaller than 799. We would be taking 15% away from 799. Instead, I think we need to divide by 0.85 because that's going to give us the larger number. That's going to give us the number that if you reduce it by 15%, you get 799. So just by thinking of it sort of logically that way, that's just another tactic you could use to try to figure out, wait, am I supposed to multiply or divide here? Because that's the hard part of these questions, right? So I'm going to do 799 divided by 0.85. So I'm going to grab the old handy dandy phone for this one. Actually, no, I'm not. I'll do it over here. Because I want to make sure I did this one right. I could just click and reveal the answer here, right? But I kind of want to make sure that whatever I punch in here is the same as what I revealed, just to make sure I didn't mess it up. So let's see here. 799 divided by 0.85. Let's come up with all these addresses and stuff. Huh? 940. So let's see if the answer to number 3 is listed as 940. Yep. And so you should just enter just the answer, the number 940. Don't try to put 940 pounds or anything like that. It'll mess the whole thing up. All right, so let's go on to the next one. I would scroll up a little bit, but it won't let me because it's the bottom of the form, so I kind of have to keep it low on the screen. Kind of annoying. It says student enrollment at a school this year is 504 students. This is a 20% decrease from the number of students last year. All right, so the number of students last year used to be bigger, right? There was more students last year, and the 20% decrease came from that number. However many students there were last year, that number decreased by 20%. So I got to figure out how many there used to be. Well, I know that when you decrease something by 20%, that's the same as having 80% of it left, right? So 100% minus 20% equals 80%. So this 504 in this question is 80% of the old number. And so where a lot of students might mess up a question like this is they would think, oh, let me just figure out what 20% of 504 is, and I'll add it back on, and that'll get me the right answer. But it doesn't work that way. You would actually get the wrong answer if you did it that way. Because the 20% that we're talking about here that got reduced came from this unknown number that we haven't figured out yet. It has to be 20% of that number. And that's different than 20% of 504 and like trying to add it back on. So that's why you have to kind of do it these various funky ways that me and Mr. Wong are trying to teach you. So I know that this is my percent I'm going to use right here, right? And I know that because the 20% that got reduced came from this unknown number, that number must be the whole. Because when you're doing these questions, or the original, whichever one you like to think of it, whole, original, those mean the same thing. When you're doing these types of questions, the number that the percent is being taken from is always your whole amount or your original amount. And so in this case, all these questions are basically the same, actually, now that I'm going through this. The part is 504. 504 is some part of whatever number of students there used to be last year. And so we're just going to do this the same as we've done the rest of these. When you have a part and you know it represents a percent of some other number, just divide and you can find that original number. So I'm going to do 504 divided by 0.80. Let's see what that one equals. Let's see. 504 divided by 0.80 gets you 630. So let's see if 630 is listed as the correct answer here. Yep, 630. All right, let's look at the last one. It says, a mixture of paint uses yellow and green paint. Scotty wants to lighten the color by increasing the amount of yellow by 30%. If the new mixture contains 3.9 liters of yellow, how much yellow was in the original? All right, so this is still the same, right? It's an increasing question instead of a decreasing. I think the last couple have been decreasing, but other than that, it's still the same. It's still, we have a percent increase of 30, and so increase of 30% is the same as having 130% of that thing. So this is the percent we're going to use. And 130%, if you move that decimal point 2 spots, that's the same as 1.3, like multiplying or dividing something by 1.3. All right, and so now let's think about where is this extra 30% of the yellow coming from? It's not coming from the 3.9. It says 3.9 is the new mixture. That's after they've already raised it from 30%. So that 30% comes from the original amount, which is the unknown. And the percents always come from your whole or your original amount. So it's literally the same again. Our whole or our original amount is the unknown in this case. And so like if you want to think of it as a proportional relationship sort of thing, if this is your like your original side and this is your new side, but right, you've got this new amount of yellow, 3.9, and we know that our k in this case is going to be 1.3, right? That's the number we're going to multiply or divide from or by, and we want to get back over to that original amount. So it's going to be a division again this time, right? So every single one of these was take the part and divide it by the percent. So we need to do 3.9 divided by 1.3, and that's going to get us that original amount of yellow paint that was in there. So I'm pretty confident on this one. I don't feel like we need to check it on the on Google or whatever. Let's just see what the right answer is. So it looks like it's just an even 3. It used to have 3 liters in it. So I would just enter my answer as just a 3, no liters or words or anything like that. That usually helps the form mark it as correct. And I think we got it. So these, all 5 of these were examples of questions where the question gives you the part and the percent to relate it to some unknown whole. And you got to work your way back to that whole or that original amount. And that always happens by taking that part number and dividing by the percent after you've converted it to a decimal or a fraction or whatever. All right, that's it. See ya.